All right, y'all. I'm back. What's happening? Tyrone Bowman live here. Welcome to the program on this evening. As you know, this is part three of the of this of the Trump press conference titled "Lies 162: Lies and Distortions in Trump Press Conference." So, before I get started continuing on the outright lies that Trump had told during his press conference on the Mar-a-Lago grounds. Let me just once again say thank you for subscribing to Tyrone Bowman Live. Please help me on my journey to get to the 1,000 mark. I would greatly appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who is he's a computer whiz. So we're purchasing some new equipment, so I'll be able to really get some things done that I want to do on YouTube and all my other platforms, such as synchronization, whereby I can be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and all these other places at one time. But tonight, let's get down to part 3 of this story. So last night when I left off on number all right, I'm going to pick it up here because there's so much here. Let me see. Where do I want to pick it up? All right, I'm going to pick it up where Trump was complaining about the justice system being weaponized against him. So, this is number 54, former President Donald Trump speaking. And yet they weaponized the system against me. He was talking about the alleged incompetence of now Vice President Harris when she was the DA in San Francisco. The justice system was not weaponized against Trump. Biden went through plans to not show any interference with the justice system, and Trump was found guilty by a jury of his peers in New York State in a state case. And by the way, it was Trump, Giuliani, and all his people who were complaining that there were no white people on the jury. That's a lie. There were 12 white people on the jury, and several of them were lawyers. He had a legal trial that consisted of a jury of his peers. I keep telling you all, there's a two-tier judicial system here in America, one for privileged white people and one for brown and black people in this country. Our people, my people, black people, they don't get a fair trial in this country. How do I know? Because I went through a trial. And like I told my attorney, I don't know those 12 white people sitting over there on that jury. They're not a jury of my peers. I don't even know them. They don't know anything about my culture, my background. They don't know anything about me. And when they got the verdict wrong, because the headline came out in the paper the next day that proved all 12 of those white people wrong, they felt stupid. So I don't want to hear Trump complaining about he didn't get a fair trial. You have more than a fair trial. If anything, the judicial system bent over backwards to impeach Trump. So numbers 55 to 58, quote, "I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody even wrote about it. The big case," close quote. 1. Trump did not win the classified documents case against him in Florida. 2. This was not the big case against him. 3. There was plenty of coverage of it. And 4. He goes on to repeat that he won the case later. For context, the judge in the case controversially dismissed it, claiming the special counsel was unconstitutionally appointed despite Supreme Court decisions upholding independent counsels. The Justice Department has signaled it will appeal by the end of August, but by the time the decision comes back, the election will be over. Trump had 4 criminal cases against him, including the classified documents case, the fraudulent business practice case in New York, for which he was convicted on 34 felony courts. I'm going to come back to that in a second. And the election interference case in Georgia, and the other federal case dealing with January 6th. If there was a biggest case, it was the last one. Now this one gets me. If a black person had been convicted of 34 counts of fraudulent business practices, like former President Trump was, you know damn well they would have been locked up that day. They would have never walked out of court, and you know it. Never. They would have been locked up and probably sentenced in the same day. Not only was he convicted, but he complained even after he got out of the court and came before the cameras. That's called white privilege. That's what it's called. He walked out of court after he was convicted of 34 business fraudulent counts. Now, how many black people do you know if they were convicted of 34 felonious counts, they will walk out of court? That's one reason why I'm a criminal justice major and a pre-law student and studied to becoming a lawyer, because I am going to help my people and anybody else who becomes victimized in this judicial system that keeps taking advantage of people. You know, I'm tired of the injustice. And what propelled me to go down this road, because I was a victim of the injustice of the so-called judicial system. And as I've said before, people, stop running from your past. If you have a good, credible story, tell your story, whether folk want to hear it or not. And like I said, on this program, I welcome all comments, whether you listen. For all my haters out there, I got a nice glass of haterade juice for you. I'll bring it the next time I come before the camera. All right, number 59. Quote, this is Trump speaking. The judge was a brilliant judge, and all they do is they play the ref with the judges. But this judge was a fair but brilliant judge, close quote. There has been lots of criticism of the judge in the case Eileen Canning, who Trump appointed. A Trump-appointed judge dismissed the charges against him. The fix was already in. She had very little experience as a trial judge, made several decisions that were questioned by legal experts, and early in the case had a ruling in which she called for a special master to review classified documents first, overturned by the 11th Circuit. Number 60. Quote, now Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it, close quote. That was not Biden's case. It was not to be tried by Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was appointed by attorney Merrick Garland. The Biden White House has made efforts to keep an arm's length distance from the investigation. Biden often declined to comment on the Justice Department's and state investigations into Trump when it would likely have been politically advantageous for him to talk about it on the campaign trail. He needs to thank Biden for not talking about it. But all he does is damn the man to hell. Never has anything good to say about anybody unless it's advantageous to him. Number 61, quote, but I call a prosecutor special counsel to me. He appointed by him and appointed by Garland. He said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. Is he talking about incompetency? Trump has dementia. There's something wrong with him. This man has dementia. You talk about Biden being senile and Biden's cognitive abilities. You talk about President Biden, what he's dealing with. Look at Trump falling apart before the world. And he's talking about Harris not being brilliant and Harris by not being smart. He's the one who couldn't academically and scholastically make it to the University of Pennsylvania. Someone did his work for him. That's what I was told, or that's what I heard. Isn't that how Trump says it? He just makes stuff up. So, this appears to be a misrepresentation of what Special Counsel Robert Hur said of Biden in a report he released investigating the president's handling of classified documents. Hur said he wouldn't be charging Biden, called the president an elderly man with a poor memory, and said a jury might find sympathy with him because of it. He did not say Biden was incompetent and could not stand trial. Number 62, she couldn't pass her bar exam. Listen to this. He's talking about Vice President Kamala Harris. That's an outright lie. Trump probably couldn't even pass a GED test. The reason why he doesn't release his academic records It's simply because you'll find out the truth. He reminds me of a lot of athletes that I went to school with. They were good athletically, but somebody had to do all their work for them. How do I know? Because they used to pay me to do their work for them. That's how I know. So they could stay on the team. This is false. Harris passed the bar exam on the second try. She failed on first attempt, which is not unusual for California's bar exam given its difficulty. So what the heck is the problem here? 63, quote, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. And this is one black male that you're not doing well with. Trump was not doing very well with black voters. Biden was not doing well with black voters as he did in 2020, according to most surveys. But that didn't mean black voters were moving heavily toward Trump. Many seemed more likely not to vote. There were signs that Trump was doing better with black men, but there wasn't much good evidence to support this in polling, considering most national polls have such high margins of error with voter groups. A typical national survey might have 1,000 voters and 100 or so black voters, give or take. That's typically a margin of error upward of plus/minus 10 percentage points, meaning results could be a whopping 10 points higher or lower. You can believe what I tell you. You can believe it or not. Black men were not coming out en masse to vote for Trump. Oh, he's going to get some disgruntled black men who are chauvinistic and bullheaded just like he is. But overall, the populace of black men are not going to vote for Trump. Now, Trump makes this boast, number 64, quote, extremely well hit with Hispanics, close quote. Like with black voters, it's difficult to tell in most national surveys exactly how well a candidate is doing with Latino voters because of high margins of error. Extremely well depends on how it's defined, but this is an exaggeration. Number 65. Jewish voters way up, Trump said. Jewish voters traditionally vote roughly 2-1 for Democrats in presidential elections, so this seems more like a hope than reality. Number 66 on this list of lies and outright distortions, totaling 162. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up, Trump said. It's just not the case that Trump is way up. NRP polling finds that while Trump is doing as well as ever with white men without college degrees, Harris and Biden before her is actually leading with white men with college degrees, a group Trump won in 2020, according to exit polls. See, 67. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females. Well, we're doing pretty well, and I think ultimately they'll like me because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. No, you won't. No, you won't. Trump is not doing well with black females. Black women are a key pillar Democratic voting group, and black voters have moved more in Harris's favor since she's gotten in. Yeah, you got that right. Number 69, we have a very bad economy right now. We could win, literally be on the thrones of depression, not recession or depression, and they can't have that. They can't have that. He destroyed the economy after Obama left office. He wrecked it. He ruined it. This is not the case. See earlier fact check. He repeats this again later in the press conference, so it is included here in the count. 70. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. A Fox News poll last month showed Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a finalist to be Harris's running mate, had a 61% approval rating in the state. Other polls also found him with a net positive rating, though not quite as high. 71. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. You act like a perpetuating child over and over and over again, just whining and complaining, as we say in the streets, just bitching all the time. It was reported that the numbers come from faulty information about the size of a crowd at Trump's rally. More accurate estimates appear to be anywhere from 30,000 to 60,000 still, a very large crowd, but Trump is exaggerating here, 72 to 77, quote, what she did. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever have 2,000 people, you say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest the press. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, what they said, oh, the crowd was so big, I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about that. Oh, the enthusiasm. People time to digest what Trump gave at least 3,000, 1,500, 1,000, 4, compared to Harris's 5 to 6. She is, the Harris campaign estimate what might be unclear is, as is often the case with crowd size estimates. But they are bigger than 2,000, 1,500. Reporters have often commented on the size of Trump's crowd. Frequently, they are very large, certainly larger than the ones that Hillary Clinton drew in 2016. Or Joe Biden this year. But Trump also regularly exaggerates their sizes. Number 78, quote, if I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. Zero chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. This is speculation. And there is simply no way to know what would have happened in either case. If he had 79, you wouldn't have had inflation by their narrative. Energy and food of Ukraine. Gasoline prices in the U.S. hit a record high, topping $5 a gallon. But domestic energy production has not suffered during the Biden administration. In fact, the U.S. oil and natural gas production hit regularly highs last year. AAA reports the average price of gasoline today is $3.45 per gallon, according to Scott Horsley. Number 80. I don't know if you know. They're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, and $9 a barrel. Oil and gas production, greedy energy companies, and prices were low, but while Kamala Harris' presidential campaign, she now says she would not only try to outlaw the practice, which is important in battleground states such as Pennsylvania, according to Scott Horsley. Number 81, quote, Trump speaks here. Everybody is going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market, close quote. The Biden administration has set a goal of having 50% of new vehicle sales be electric by 2030. It has primarily tried to achieve this throwing carrots rather than sticks, offering incentives to make electric cars more stations and using the federal government. Scott Horsley. Number 82. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that. A shift to electric vehicles will require a rapid updating and U.S. power grid, according to the Electric Power Research Institute. However, as EVs become more efficient, the increased demand could be reduced by as much as 50% per mile traveled over the next 3 decades. So I'm going to leave off on number 82.